I'm here. Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining. I'm one of your hosts here with John O'Fallon from Zebra. My name's Miguel, Barcode Integrators. We've been around 32 years, just to give everybody a high level for those that don't know. And I've been with the company 17 years, 8 months, 1 day, and 14 hours. So no one's counting except me, maybe. But a few of you may have met us at the show, or some of our reps might have reached out to you to let you know about some of the new technology Zebra has to offer. And we wanted to make sure that we gave you a good presentation and overview of what that looked like. And some of the big things that are, of course, important to BCI are long-standing relationships and really bring into market the solutions that might make sense that you could implement in your operations. And our skill set really focuses on, the implementation of the technology. So the barcode scanners, the printers, the best practice that go around implementing those, setting up the network, working with IT to make sure all the applications are configured and deployed correctly. And we want to make sure that we're more of an add-on to your team to make sure that you're able to implement and utilize this technology to its full capability. So we've continued to do that over the years. We want to continue to do that, and we've done that with a lot of our strong partners that are able to bring different people in that require a different skill set. So BCI is kind of a conduit to all these experts. And again, today we want to get into the technology John and his team brings to the table. And John, if you want to go ahead and a little short intro
Yeah,
there and kind of get into it, I'll let you kind of take it away, and you and I can kind of bounce ideas back and forth as
sweet.
we go.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you.
Thanks, Miguel. Great meeting you all. My name's John O'Fallon. I'm here with Zebra Technologies. I'm the business development manager for our environmental sensors portfolio. Been here at Zebra for a little over a year. Prior to that, I was within the CPG industry, worked in Pepsi for many years, number of different roles within Pepsi. But I came aboard here to Zebra specifically for the environmental sensors as it relates to food and consumable products. There's also a counterpart. My counterpart is also in the healthcare and pharmaceutical area. So a lot of this technology that I'm going to be talking about today can be related to both and utilized in both, and it's designed to do so. So let me pull up my presentation here so I can share it with you. Just bear with me 1 second. Okay, cool. Can you see this all right?
Yeah.
Excellent.
Yes.
So, when you think about, perishable foods and chilled supply chain, there's a lot of gaps specifically to food. I'm going to speak mostly around food and consumable products here, but as I said, we do have this technology heavily placed in the pharmaceutical and medical products world, and I think some of you might be in that area. But specific to food, there's a lot of gaps within the supply chain, and it's a very difficult supply chain to kind of deal with because you're dealing with products with a shelf life. And some of those products can be, affected by hot, cold, or just time as a whole. And when you look at the statistics for the last, several years, and it's growing, the amount of waste in foodborne illnesses that are happening continues to rise. Some of you might have seen that there was a massive listeria outbreak just last week with boar's head meat. Very, very similar to what's happened in the last couple of years. And most of that is due to not having line of sight to what your products are doing when it's out of your control. In transport, after production, in store, what have you, throughout the entire supply chain, it's really difficult to do that. And the other thing is waste. There's a massive, massive amount of waste out there. This is 22% of products never reach it to the point of consumption, which is a big number, and that number is actually increasing in the last 4 years. The last number I saw, which was from a nonprofit that tracks food waste, was around 39%. It was in the 30s. So a really, really staggering amount of waste that goes into these products, and something from a sustainability effort, from a lot of companies are looking to save where they can. This is a big highlight for them. And when you think about the different kind of temperatures that you have to consider, whether it's pharmaceuticals at the very high end or ice cream at the very low end. There's a lot of different areas to touch on and a lot of different factors to consider. And, from a Zebra perspective, we have three different solutions to solve those problems. We have printable and ready-to-use indicators, which I'm not going to get too much into, but I can in the future. And one of the most recent ones is the electronic sensors. So we have a product called the ZS300, which is a Bluetooth data logger that came out last year. So I'm going to talk to you about this a little bit, and please, if you have any questions, any comments in the middle, stop me. No worries. I can just ramble on here for quite a while. So please feel free to jump in whenever you need to. So ZS300. So there's a lot of data loggers on the market. This is not a new thing. Most data loggers are Bluetooth, not Bluetooth. They're mostly USB data loggers. So you press a button, it starts recording. When it gets to the final end of the journey, you take the data logger out, you plug it into computer, you download the information, you see if there was any excursions outside of your quality control measures, and you kind of move the product along. There's a lot of steps involved in that. There's a lot of labor involved in that. And one of our the solutions that we came up with is a Bluetooth data logger, this thing. There are other Bluetooth data loggers on the market. We like ours. And the reason why we like ours is it's task oriented. So you can set whatever task you want. The range of temperatures goes from -40°C to 85°C. I'm going to speak in Celsius here. I probably can't convert off the top of my head, but I can try. So there's a lot of different range that you can do. This thing is small. You can see it here if it's focused. It's got a adhesive back. It goes from the range of temperatures. It's IP67 rated, so it's watertight, very, very durable. I've dropped this thing from a very high height and it still works. Couple things that differentiate ourselves from the competition. It's used up to 12 to 18 months. So you can reuse this as long as you need. The battery life on it runs off a small coin cell battery, and it will last for 12 to 18 months. So once it reaches the end of the journey, or if you wanted to set it on another task, you feel free to do so, which is unlike most Bluetooth data loggers out there. And it's also a headless product. We do not have software to go with this. We have a demo software, and we have another kind of basic software that will do a lot of tasks for some of the smaller and medium-sized customers. But the idea of this is to really integrate into your back-end solutions, whether it's a WMS system, ERP system, whatever. And we work with our ISV partners that have developed software to do that integration. So seamlessly integrate. The one thing that we've heard from a lot of customers is they just don't want another application that they have to train their employees on, that they have to get them to go to and check logs. They want it to kind of come right into their own systems. So that's what we did. So we work with those companies to integrate directly into your systems, and using API keys and webhooks, we pull that information. So if you have an issue in transit, if you have an issue in your facility, if you have an issue where the temperature goes outside of that range that you set, you will be set an alert. You will be set an alert that your product has gone outside of that range. And that's unique. That's very unique to the data logger market. The only other data loggers that will do that is cellular data loggers, and those can be very, very expensive and something that you probably don't want to use a lot of. So this is that solution. It uses Bluetooth technology to communicate to the web. So it's going to communicate with either a handheld device like this, any Android handheld device, or a bridge. And that bridge will pull that information and upload it to the cloud, and then be directly inputted into your backend systems. It holds 16,000 data points. It's rewritable. So if you have this in a static area in your facility or on a truck, and you just kind of want to make sure that you get that log and you track that log, it will then overwrite itself once it reaches that 16,000 data points. It'll basically delete the oldest and replace it with the newest. This is also FSMA compliant, so this will be FSMA in 2026, January 2026. This will be compliant with all those regulations that are just coming down the road. To give you a little closer look at what the ZS300 actually looks like, very simple design, very easy to read. There is a button on there. There's the only button on there. That button will trigger the LED light. The LED light will give you different readings or different light, red or green or yellow, depending on what the use is. These are configured and tested and calibrated. They are the most accurate Bluetooth data logger on the market. They're accurate up to 0.3C. And the range of this is typical Bluetooth. So 100 feet, 30 meters. So if you have these in your facility and you have handheld devices, they will pull that information from these loggers up to 100 feet or 30 meters. And the way you pull it is through bridges, these either physical or software bridges. I can show you what it looks like on my phone here in a second, but essentially it's called a ZS Finder, and it works in the background. So if you have Android devices going around your facility, if you have tablets, you can load this in the background and it'll automatically pull the information from those sensors as they're moving in and out of your facility. As people are walking past these sensors, it'll pull that information and upload it to the cloud so that you have access to that. Any questions so far? Going too
No, I
quick?
think you're doing a really good job with
Cool.
everything. So for those that are on this, what you're seeing at here is kind of what you would have on site or on premise or with any affiliates that you might want to work with, especially if you're using any third-party type of carriers. Once that asset, that inventory leaves your facility, you want to make sure from point A to point B it gets there within spec. You want to make sure your customers are getting a good quality product. You want to prevent liability and cost. If there is an event that happens that, is an event that takes that product out of quality or not to be sold, you want to be able to notify whoever's receiving that or the carrier to stop shipment so that you can make sure you get the right product in line and on board. And one way to think about it with the integration component, we can create these for specific product lines or profiles. So it's not a one size fits all, and we can commission these by different profiles. So there's a product line or a specific inventory SKU that you need to track within that that's getting delivered on these full truckloads. You don't need to also put one on everything. You could just, put these on the first and the last truckload just to identify those. So there's a lot of different ways to allow you to collect that data to prevent any products that have any quality events that are outside of spec that you don't want getting to your end user. And if it does get to whoever might be storing and distributing it to you that last mile, you could show proof that it received on their dock in an acceptable order within those ranges. And maybe their cooler went out on site and they weren't aware of it, that caused the product to thaw or reach a temperature threshold that's not within spec, right? So this gives you a lot of visibility and chain of custody and a little CYA, right? So that you can make sure that you know that the product's getting where it's supposed to get in the quality, and it prevents any issues as far as chargebacks or who has to pay for that if something does happen. So we want to limit that liability.
Yeah.
And if you're already using any of the Zebra technologies or scanners out there today, we could load the app and make it really easy for you to, start passively collecting this information inside your four walls or even as it's leaving. So it's really cool the way Zebra's thought about implementing this and making it easy for those to add this to your existing workflow on the outbound side. And in some cases internally, like John mentioned earlier, with some of the printable solutions. If you're already printing a label or a license plate label and you've got Zebra printers in house, you're able to modify a format, add that technology to the label, and now you'll be able to have some other types of sensing. So, John, sorry, I had to jump in there just a
No,
little
no,
bit.
no, all
Great
good.
job.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I think you put it really well. I mean, it gives you the ability to take action. That's something that current data loggers don't do. You have to actually go into the log and analyze it. We're working with a company right now that's one of the largest coconut water producers in the world out of Thailand, and they are putting these sensors on shipments and containers coming from Thailand to the US. And they're logging anywhere from 30 to 60 days as it's in transit and reaches its distribution point here in the US. And normally what happens is they have to take those logs, upload them, email them. And it's actually coming to a third party, email them to the customer, the quality folks at at the company, and then they have to kind of analyze it, look at it, and if there's an issue, either it has already left the building and then they have to kind of track it down, or they have to hold it there. All of which takes a lot of time and effort. When these come into the facility now, there are all the data logs are uploaded automatically. You see if there's an alert, you see if there was an issue, and they're able to take action much quicker and move the product faster. So it saves time, it saves labor, it saves waste. And like Miguel said, it gives you kind of that peace of mind and that accountability. If there's an issue, obviously you want to know who is ultimately responsible for it. So a lot of folks now, kind of get held back because they can't prove who was responsible for that temperature excursion, or who's responsible for for the product being outside of spec. Just to give you a couple more slides here, this is the ZS Finder app. It's free. You can download it on any Android device. It's on the Google Play Store right now. You can download it, and that basically will act in the background. So anytime it comes into contact or comes in that range, whether it's your sensor or any of your sensors that come into the building, it will pull that information and send it to the cloud. So it's nothing that you need to train your employees on. You download it to the devices, and that'll work in action. We have a lot of customers now that are using this on trucks. So they'll place these ZS 300s in their trucks in different zones within their trucks. And when the product is getting delivered or picked up, or even inside the cab, if they have a cellular device or a device that's hooked up to the Wi-Fi in the cab, it'll pick up the signal depending on where it is in the truck, and they can know almost in real time, what those temperatures are immediately. So very, very cool. I think one of the big things with this is it is as close to real time as you can get outside of a cellular device. And like I said, cellular devices are rather expensive, in the $300 range. These range it's starting out without any discounting about $50. So if you lose it, if it gets damaged, it's not that big a deal. Whereas if you lost a cellular data logger, you don't want to lose a lot of those. Just to show you kind of how it works from a schematic standpoint, excuse me, I've explained this mostly, but essentially the sensor communicates with the bridge. The bridge then uploads it directly to the Zebra cloud. And then our ISV or customer pulls that information down from the Zebra cloud and uploads it into your backend system, or automatically sends you a PDF, however you want to do it. One of the things that's great, it's just kind of, a lot of customers have really liked this because you can kind of choose your own adventure. If you want something very simple, very easy, we have ISV partners and we have our own solution that's coming out soon that will allow you to do that. Allow you to get a PDF of the log. It'll allow you to send alerts or get alerts, and you're good to go. You can do only a mobile device. And then some customers want to have it fully integrated. Some customers don't want it to go to our cloud, which is also fine. We can work a way around it to go directly to your personal cloud, and you can manage the data and use data however you want. But from a standard perspective, we bring it up to our cloud, and then you pull it down to our cloud. So let me talk to you about cost a little bit. So I told you these are about $50, starting at $50 to go to our cloud basic. It's about $2,000 a year, so not much. And then there's an ISV fee. In that ISV fee ranges, but it's nothing astronomical. If you wanted to get all the bells and whistles, then it gets a little more expensive. But you can do very basic things, and most of them are around. I can't exactly quote, but it's about $10,000 to $20,000 annually. So it's not that added cost where you see other data loggers. You have to buy the actual data logger, then you have to buy the cellular, then there's also all the other software implications on top of that. So this is just a slide about pros and cons. I could send this out to you all when we're done here. But any questions so far?
No, I think you're doing a real good job explaining it as an integrator and be able to implement new technologies in the company. Zebra's making it really easy to use existing infrastructure that you might have or be able to use any other devices that are available that have access to the Android store. And it's real passive to the end user. You want to just put this at the end of your line, whatever that workflow might be. So anybody in continuous improvement or quality control, love this. It's just kind of set it and forget it once we define what workflows and profiles are required. And the really whole point of this is to get better visibility and reduce costs and loss, right? So anytime we could do that, and if you're already doing that with the technology you have today, most companies have a good ERP and a WMS. Being able to track those temperature events that take you out of quality that are a cost because you can't sell that product anymore, whether it's an internal problem or an issue that we can correct. Now we have visibility into it so it doesn't continue to happen. Or if it might be a carrier challenge and you might need to switch carriers, whoever might be moving your product, or even who might be doing maintenance on your own fleet. It gives you visibility on what might be going on there. We're even hearing where you can put these around your facility because you need to track temperature events within the whole facility at different levels and different heights, just to make sure that the whole facility, even though it might not be a freezer or a cooler, but it needs to maintain some type of temperature, or maybe a quality of product doesn't need to sit at 80 degrees and it needs to be lower. So you move that item to the lower part of your warehouse if those happen. So a lot of easy ways to start effectively, even just building out a proof of concept. It's not an arm and a leg, and it doesn't take a lot of resources. Hey, Russell, we see that you've got a question. Feel free to jump in. Or if you'd like to wait to the end, that's fine.
There's a question posted in the Q&A.
Perfect.
John, are
we
you
can take
able
it
to see?
now.
Have you noticed the use of sensors in the medical industry? Which
Yeah.
types of sensors are more popular in that vertical?
It's very similar to food. There are some that are in line with their Bluetooth and cellular data loggers. It's very similar to what's on this slide right here, actually. We're using the ZS300 in several different pharmaceutical and medical product venues. Because those temperatures are so specific and so sensitive. They like the fact that this is the most accurate in 0.3C, and that it's kind of seamlessly integrates with folks' back end systems.
If you're doing any type of transportation of items, assets that need to be within your own facilities, if it's organs, things along those lines that you need to make sure you're tracking those temperature events, not only internal to the package, but externally as well. This gives you a nice passive way to do that. And then, there's the printable sensors as well that kind of tie in. In a medical environment, if there's equipment that's moving between facilities or machinery that can't reach a certain event, or even hitting gamma radiation, right? There's certain stuff that that might have a gamma event that can't pass that, right? So being able to put this technology on different assets or inventory within yours, you can. So within the medical, we're starting to see it. My focus is mostly in food, beverage, warehousing, and distribution. I've got a couple pharma delivery like Abbott and AbbVie. We're starting to talk to them about maybe implementing this on some of their finished goods and items, whether it's just a tag that gets put along with it for a freeze event. You got a vehicle, if there's a storm that's going on, you might be able to meet your SLA, but maybe there was an event that happened between that. So yes, we can, but it's a newer technology, so we're implementing a lot of different verticals.
Russell, I see your question around the quality and calibration. So these are calibrated, in our facility in New Jersey, and I believe at production, but it's calibrated and certified. We have two different versions of this. One comes with a certification, so basically showing the test results. It's the same calibration that we do. To give you a little background about this, this is based on a company that Zebra bought back in 2018 called Temptime. Temptime's based out of New Jersey, and they are the global provider of vaccine vial monitors. So every vaccine that's distributed by the WHO has our vaccine vial monitor on it. It's a chemical indicator, so it basically uses time and temperature to indicate if that or bad. All the polio vaccine, any vaccine that is susceptible to time and temperature, the our vaccine biomonitor is on that device, and I can show you on those vaccines and other medical and pharmaceuticals that are distributed globally. We have contracts with the WHO, with the DoD. We work with government agencies around the world. We have a big contract with India, and we just opened up Africa as well, who are also distributing their own vaccines. So that being said, we are very, very heavily regulated and scrutinized in where we make these products. And we've
John,
had
though,
this. Yeah, go ahead.
if we had to work on, if they had, just like the radar detectors when they get pulled over, if they're not calibrated right, there's some liability in the law that gets you out of it, right? So in a case where they might need to go that extra mile, hey, was this calibrated, or hey, did we give them a bad temperature event at that point? I would assume, how do we protect that liability, with that being the question? And is there a way that we could have our clients, do a calibration, or
Sure.
do we
Yeah.
just, after 6 months, there's an issue that these might go out of calibration, we should decommission it and get new ones? What
So
would be your thought around that?
yeah, I mean the calibration upon production, it is calibrated and checked. And then most companies have to do some sort of calibration on any temperature monitoring that they do in their facility to make sure it's accurate. You would continue to do that in these circumstances, just using a certified calibrated thermometer to check the temperatures, and you can do that live. If you were essentially monitoring a ZS300 that's in a freezer in one of your facilities, you would go in there with your temperature calibrated thermometer. You would check the temperature of the ZS300 and do that certifications. We've had zero issues with this. It's the calibration, and we also have documentation showing you how we calibrate this that happy to share with you. Does that
Hopefully
answer
that
your
helps,
question?
Russell.
Yeah. Let me know if you have any follow-up there, Russell. I can quickly go over some of the other products that we have. I know we're running short on time, but I do want to kind of touch on our on-demand printable indicators. These are labels that have chemistry built into the labels and activated via a thermal printer. So it's pretty cool. Like on the left, it comes in rolls or sheets or however you want it, and it's essentially a blank label and has some chemistry built into that blue dot there. And when you run it through a thermal printer, you can print whatever you want on it. Lot number, QR code, don't use, if change this color. And it'll basically take that blue dot and make it white or clear. And then once it comes into contact with a temperature event, in this case freeze, that's a -25 freezer on a block of ice, it changes color back to that blue. Think of it as like invisible ink almost, and it gets activated when it goes through a thermal printer and then changes color, when it comes into contact with that environment that you're looking to monitor. And the different areas, and I moved over this pretty quickly. We have freeze thaw, we have high temperatures, we have heat and humidity. These are being used on in a Tesla factory that makes the headlights for these products for Teslas, and they wanted to make sure that it reached a certain temperature as it went through the curing process or in the cooking process essentially of those headlights. So they slapped one of these on those headlights, and as it runs through the heater, if it doesn't change color to say that it reached that certain temperature, they have to run it again. So to make sure that there's no warranties. So that's that. Most of the use cases for this are, pharmaceutical and food. Any kind of fresh produce, anything like that that's susceptible to cold or hot temperatures. And we also have heat, humidity, and moisture. And the way these work, this is a quick slide kind of showing you what it looks like from initial appearance, and as it kind of gets slowly colder in this situation, you can see at 0°C, 32 Fahrenheit, that blue starts to come through, indicating that it has been exposed to that frozen environment. And if it gets colder, even colder at -8, it'll fully change. That 0°C will fully change it depending on what label you have. And our labels range from 30 seconds to 1 minute up to 10 minutes. So you can have it change gradually. If you're okay, if it's exposed to the certain temperatures for a little longer period of time, and you don't want someone to kind of raise a red flag too quickly, we have the chemistry to do that. So that's an idea of where we're at, and obviously use cases here. Anything in the cold or hot supply chain, anything that's ready to use, ready to eat, convenience stores, anything along those lines. These are perfect applications for that piece of technology. We also have a RFID high temperature indicator as well. So it's combining the technology with RFID with temperature indicating. This is that we currently only have it for high heat. We do have a pipeline for other temperature ranges, including cold, which is obviously a big one. And lastly, just wanted to kind of touch on our ready-to-use indicators. The difference between these and the printable ones, these are made and manufactured in our facility in New Jersey, and they're ready to use. So they have to be held in controlled environments, or else they will trigger. So you want to, yep. Thank you, Miguel. And these can come on little cards like Miguel showed, or they can be on labels, however you want to do it. And it ranges in temperatures. You can go, this is a limit marker. So it's a threshold indicator. So if you wanted to put this on, any food or medical product, and you don't want it to get above a certain temperature, 17°C, 9°C, it will then change color once it reaches that temperature. We also have cumulative indicators, and those cumulative indicators basically take into account all of the temperature that comes in, all of the environments it's in. So think of it as a replacement for a Best Buy or sell by date. So you'd have this put on a package during production or after production, and then the kind of clock starts ticking. And if it's stayed in a controlled environment, in most circumstances a chilled environment, then it will change gradually as time goes on. Call it, anywhere between 5 days. If it stayed in a frozen environment, it could last for much longer. But if that if the reefer goes out on the truck, or if it's the dock door is left open for too long and this product is exposed to higher heats, it'll change faster.
Well, even at a lot of the convenience stores where the product is pre-made and it's sitting in a cooler, but it's exposed on the front, those items will go bad a little bit quicker. Yeah. So it helps give some protection to the consumer, and also the quality of product being sold. If it goes outside of those events, you don't want your name on that. Bad press is horrible press. So the great thing is about these, you could add these in. You could put these in depending on who you're working with. Hey, if something's been checked on here, don't receive the item, call our quality control. And the other great thing is if you've already got either a mobile or some of the fixed Zebra printers, and you're already printing labels, you could add this technology to your existing formats or templates. We'll just work with whoever's responsible for that design, or we'll just make that a little bit bigger and adjust that. We've got a lot of experience with label redesign, working with all the label design softwares. And so it's not a huge headache for you to go to IT. I need a new printer. I need to configure this. It's, hey, I just need a new label format. I'm going to put it in the printer, and it's going to now give me these quality events that I could, track that go directly on the product. And it doesn't add any more process to your existing workflow. So if you are putting license plate labels on, why don't we put a license plate label with this technology on there that protects that pallet and those items that it got to your end user in the best quality that it could. And so, something as easy as that, or then if you don't have the Zebra printers, then you could just buy the cards, and then you could just start getting familiar with the technology, and at least limit that exposure you would have to any chargeback or rejected product, right? So that's what we kind of want to give you exposure to here today, which I think, John, thanks. I think you've got a really good product line for all
Yeah.
this. So I didn't
Yeah.
jump
No,
in
thank
too
you.
quick
Thank
there.
you. I appreciate it. Any other questions that you have along the way?
There was a couple in the Q&A, but it looked like we answered them as we went. Russ, I hope that answered your question in regards to the calibration. We'll send you out some information afterwards that might be able to give some clarity on there too. And I think very, very good, John.
Yeah, excellent. Thank you. Thank you for the time. If you're interested in seeing a demonstration of this, happy to do it. We've got I can show you our demo software. I was going to do it right now, but I just ran out of time, so apologies. But
No worries.
happy to do that at another time, and share some further use cases as well if you're interested.
No, that's excellent. For those that joined the call, thank you for taking time out of your day. It looks like you might get 7 extra minutes back, so hopefully we could all make the most of that with what we had scheduled. And then for the reps that you're working with on the BCI side, I'll have them follow up with you if there's anything specific you might need or want. In lieu of this conversation, we'll go ahead and if you need a sample pack or a test kit, we've got sample packs of all of these where we could send you just to get, if you need to pass them around to others or just use them internally to see how well you might be able to implement. We'll get you whatever you need to, if you've got an idea you want to kick off, we want to help you do that. All right, John, I think we're good to go. So everybody, thanks again for the time. We really appreciate it.
Thanks. See ya.
Bye, everyone. John, thanks. Paul, thank you.
Thank you.
Everybody else, thank you so much.